JB, breaking news into SportsCenter. Saints quarterback Derek Carr has just announced his retirement, according to Adam Schefter. This news comes after he suffered a shoulder injury this offseason that could have cost him the entire 2025 season and could affect the rest of his career. A second-round pick of the Raiders in 2014, he spent the past 2 seasons in New Orleans, throwing for over 41,000 yards over his 11-year career. Coming up, we'll have Jeremy Fowler with us. Saints quarterback Derek Carr has retired as senior NFL writer. Jeremy Fowler joins us now. He had revealed that he had actually injured his shoulder late in last season, was contemplating surgery. So how did he come to this decision? Yeah, Hannah, really for the last 5 to 6 weeks, the Saints and Derek Carr have been trying to figure out what's best and how to proceed with this shoulder issue, which tests revealed, as the Saints just said, a labral tear and degenerative damage to his rotator cuff, potentially. So these are major issues. You imagine trying to throw on that. So really before then, the feeling was like, hey, we restructured his contract. We can move forward with Derek Carr, even though there was some talk about a potential trade at one point. That never happened. So it seemed at one point in the offseason he was going to be the quarterback in 2025. So really when he started throwing again, then he felt the issue, talked to the Saints, reported it. They tried to shake this out. You know, I think the Saints in a perfect world hoped that he could maybe rehab to health. It just seems like that was not in the cards. So after 11 seasons, he is retired.
Wow. Big picture, looking at his career, how would you describe his legacy?
You know, his legacy is probably underrated in a lot of ways. You know, I've actually recently talked to people with the Raiders and with the Saints, you know, because I was trying to get a grasp of his career because of all the turmoil around what was going on with the Saints and the uncertainty here, which eventually resulted in this. And the feeling was, he constantly had different head coaches. He constantly had different coordinators. We saw again, last year he was close with Clint Kubiak, his offensive coordinator. Now Kubiak leaves, Kellen Moore in. He always was dealing with constant change. And really he's viewed as a very talented quarterback, a very good quarterback, maybe not a breakthrough quarterback that got you over the hump. And I think the Raiders felt that, like, hey, we gave it a run. It just didn't work overall in the end. But very productive player, always a consummate professional. And played, you know, he was a tough guy. He played through injuries. It took this kind of serious injury to eventually knock him out. But most every year he was 15, 16 games in. Yeah, and through very difficult times with the Raiders, he often had to speak on behalf of the organization and handled that really well. I just want to say they have 3 guys now, right? So they draft Tyler Shuck, and the second round they have Spencer Rattler. They have Jake Haener. Who's the next quarterback of the Saints? What's it looking like? Well, Shuck, with his experience, played a lot of years in college. He's older, in his mid-20s. He was coveted by a lot of teams in the draft, picked 40th overall. He's got higher billing than, say, Spencer Rattler, who right now would be the backup or maybe the 1A, but he was a 5th-round pick. Some people in the building are high on Rattler as well, so they're going to play this out. It's been interesting, the existence in the Saints quarterback room and offensive rooms lately, because they thought maybe Derek Carr could play, but they really were just talking to him more as a person than they were like game planning. So Carr really hasn't been a part of a lot of the football talks of late. So it's been like young guys in a quarterback room trying to mold that room together, see what they can do. And Tyler Shuck, they're really high on him. Assuming things go well in the next 3 or 4 months, there's no reason why he can't see the field in 2025 because of the pedigree and the experience he already comes in with. I mean, not see the field. What about, is this a guy that it's thought could start from week 1? They hope so. I mean, the Saints did a ton of work on quarterbacks in the draft. They looked hard at Jackson Dart, but felt like number 9 overall would be a little high for them where they were picking in the first round. So early second round, they targeted Shuck, who has got some arm strength. He's got some major ability. Yep. All right. Derek Carr ending a career, and we certainly wish him well.
All right. For Hannah, Jeremy, I'm Jay. Thanks for watching. E60's next.
Do continue that conversation. Our NFL insider, Jonathan Jones, going to join us to give us a peek at how all of this came to be. And again, what's next? Continuing to follow that breaking news for New Orleans Saints quarterback Derek Carr has officially retired from the NFL. The team says he was dealing with a handful of injuries, including a torn labrum in his shoulder, as well as a damaged rotator cuff. He was a second-round pick by the Raiders back in 2014, and he spent his last 2 seasons out in New Orleans. He finishes his career as a 4-time Pro Bowler with more than 41,000 career passing yards and 257 touchdowns. Let's continue our conversation with our NFL insider, Jonathan Jones, joining us actually from Jets mini camp. So, JJ, keeping your head on a swivel there. Your reaction to Derek Carr announcing his retirement this morning?
Yeah, certainly a bit of a surprise ultimately, right? We knew that there was a problem with the shoulder, and really leading up to the last couple of weeks, the thought was, is it going to require season-ending shoulder surgery, or is this something that ultimately he can manage and play through? But in reading the statement, it was actually kind of interesting to read this statement from the New Orleans Saints, where and Derek Carr in the joint statement, where not only did he say it was in the best interest of himself and his family, but also within the best interest of the Saints organization. We have been talking, Haley, for more than a decade about how the Saints have been in salary cap hell. And then when you got to March, Derek Carr did not decide to take a pay cut, though that's what they had wanted. There was some reporting that I think is backed by fact that he was looking to get out of New Orleans. This was all at a time when he still had not yet worked out his shoulder to realize just how bad it was, according to the statement. Now that he has retired, this is going to open up about $30 million in salary cap relief for the New Orleans Saints. If he's not going to take the pay cut, if he's going to have to go on injured reserve, this is not the sort of pay cut or the salary cap relief, I should say, that the New Orleans Saints would have been looking for. And look, the two sides had been struggling for some time. Derek Carr has a winning record as the starting quarterback of the New Orleans Saints, but he certainly never felt the love from the city, and there was a lot of back and forth and a lot of sensitivities involved with all of that. And so it was a situation that wasn't great and continued to not be great. And then again, taking everyone at their word in this statement, when you realize after the fact that the shoulder is worse, that there's a full labrum tear. They said objectively, right? So no question about that, but also some degenerative potential issues that even if this gets better, it will get worse. The fact that the Saints and Derek Carr are parting ways in this way is surprising. No one really kind of saw that one coming, but obviously hoping the best for Derek Carr, his shoulder, his family, and this next chapter, whatever it may be for him.
Yeah, kind of similar to what Charles Davis said there. It's a decision that impacts not just you, but your family and everything, and it doesn't come easily here. As we turn the page, though, for the Saints in 25, JJ, it's an interesting conversation. We've talked about the Browns and their quarterback situation, but the Saints in kind of a similar issue there, except they don't have any veterans on the roster. So if you're Kellen Moore here and you look down and this is who you see, you've got two guys with just 1 year of experience and Tyler Shook, the rookie, the oldest of this group here. Do you lean into what you have already? Do you take a peek at what's out there? How do you plan on being successful in 2025 if this is what you have currently?
It's not great right now. Obviously, it's May the 10th. The games are going to start, in the second week of September. So there is time. They did draft Tyler Shook at the top of the second round. There was a lot of belief in him. There was some potential for the Saints to even move up into the first round to take him. They stayed patient there, I think pick 39, and ultimately got Shook. But, of course, the idea at the time was maybe Derek Carr will play, maybe not. So this wasn't, they didn't select him with the knowledge that Derek Carr would be out for the 2025 season. They did select him with the thought that Derek Carr could be out for the season. And now we know, of course, that he has retired. They saw enough of Spencer Rattler last year to know that he cannot be the week one starter for the New Orleans Saints, kind of no matter what happens. And so what you have for the Saints is they're probably going to have to add to the room. You're going to have to get a veteran in some way. Can I just go ahead, Haley, and say that Aaron Rodgers is not going to happen in New Orleans? Can we? I feel like that was probably going to be a next question. So no to Aaron Rodgers.
Slash that off the list. No Aaron Rodgers in New Orleans.
Okay, no Aaron Rodgers in New Orleans. Kirk Cousins, look, I think that he can be had, by another team, but you're going to have to trade for Kirk Cousins, and you're going to have to pay some of his salary for the Atlanta Falcons to ultimately let him go. And then, of course, being in the division, not entirely sure that that's going to happen. Carson Wentz is an available veteran quarterback who is out there. Could you sign him? Sure. Is he ultimately going to make a huge difference for you? I think we've seen a lot of Carson Wentz over the last couple of years. One name that I'll just throw out there, pay attention to potentially, excuse me, Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett played with the Philadelphia Eagles last year, Super Bowl champion. Who was with the Philadelphia Eagles last year as offensive coordinator? Kellen Moore. So there's familiarity there. The Cleveland Browns have 4 or 5 quarterbacks if you include Deshaun Watson. Joe Flacco or Kenny Pickett is going to get dealt at some point because they're not going to carry 4 quarterbacks on a 53-man roster. You draft Dylan Gabriel, you draft Shedeur Sanders, they're going to make the team because anybody who is drafted by the Cleveland Browns the last several years makes the 53-man roster. That's Andrew Berry's way. So someone is going to be expendable. Would it be the veteran, Joe Flacco, or would it be Kenny Pickett, who is already familiar with the head coach who is there in New Orleans, who probably could be had in a pinch? That's a name to watch. Throwing that out there. I'm not saying it's going to happen this week or anything like that, but just one name to keep an eye on moving forward.
See, JJ, this is why we pull you away from Jets minicamp to come on HQ to break it all down for us, because where else would we get this information? We appreciate your time. Get back out there. We'll check back in with you, I'm sure, at some point.